Can you explain the process to me in layman's terms of how to become a match referee in cricket?
When a Chennai fan will say, "Oh, wish the match referee shouldn't have lifted the coin."
How much do you guys make as salaries? I think vaguely about 50 lakhs in terms of what? An IPL. Is that true or is that increased over?
See, a kiss is always good to notice, probably not so good to feel.
Do those kind of players who carry so much clout have different rules? How much do you kind of step in there as a match referee?
We take a softer stance in some sense. He's been very tough. I mean, in domestic also, he's been tough and he means business. And that's what matters.
Many people even after the India World Cup defeat to Australia and Ahmedabad sir felt that, the pitch was again a slow, sluggish one.
But Virat, I would like to experience because of the fact that he's a legend. He's cool as a dude, man.
Today on cricket.com, we're going to be joined in by someone very special, someone that we normally do not pay that much attention to during a cricket match, but they are very, very important. I'm talking about a match referee. We have one right now with us. I'm talking about Rajiv Seth, who of course hails from Delhi, does of course share the birthday with Virat Kohli as well, and he's been part of multiple games this IPL. First and foremost, welcome to cricket.com, Mr. Rajiv Seth. How are we this afternoon?
Thank you very much for inviting me here. Wonderful that I can be. God is kind and lovely to talk to the viewers, of your viewers and listener friends. I hope we can make some sense out of it.
How cool is your job, sir? We're all kind of jealous of what you guys do in terms of officiating the game. Surely it is a fun thing in the gentleman's game, your job.
Cool as a cucumber, as they say, unless the trouble arises. This is the middle name for match referee job. If all goes well, that it's all very, very smooth, and it's the best place to be in the stadium. But if things don't work out well when it comes to going beyond your boundaries in terms of each of the stakeholders involved in the game, that's when we come into picture, and we are famously known for that through the COC. But all I can say is match referee's job is much more than that. This is the one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is all about planning, all about execution, management. So it's actually a bag full of responsibility, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah, I'm just so curious to understand the nature of your job, your daily routines, for example, and much more, and all the specifics of it. But I just want to start back because one question is on everyone's mind watching this. Can you explain the process to me in layman's terms of how to become a match referee in cricket?
You have to know the game well. There is a criteria which BCCI sets for choosing their match referees and impaneling them. And there is a first basic criteria is you have to be a first class cricketer, having played 25 odd first class matches to start with. Maybe I think in women's category it's 20. So or even in the men's category that must have lowered down to 20. But then idea is it's not about 20 or 25 or first class matches. The idea is to know the game, understand the nuances. You got to execute your plans, you got to plan better, and you have to be managing people in a great deal. So this is in a nutshell that it all requires to start with. But I think when it comes to choosing or wanting to become a match referee, you have to do a little bit of introspection in terms of what is the kind of trait that you have, and what's your USP in some sense, which can contribute towards the job.
How did you get chosen? Because last year you, of course, did the IPL for the first time. You did some games this year as well. You've, of course, been part of youth ODIs, the Ranji games. We saw that Tamil Nadu Mumbai game that you, of course, officiated as match ref. So how quick was your rise to the top? And how did the BCCI get in touch with you and tell you that, listen, Rajiv, we need you?
Well, we all have been very fortunate to be under the banner of a professional body like BCCI, and just absolutely top-notch stuff. I can tell you, nowhere in the world you could ever imagine the kind of infrastructure, the kind of the domestic network that the BCCI conducts is ever happening anywhere close in the world. And that's where I think the world looks upon on India, not just from the talent point of view, and from the governance point of view also. Can you imagine 2,500 odd matches going up to almost 3,000 the coming season happening in domestic cricket in a season of about 6 months? So you would need a lot of officials to conduct that. We are the face of BCCI. Probably we have seen more, heard more, but at the back end, it's absolutely, I would say, it's mind-boggling stuff that is happening to actually plan the matches and execute and conduct the matches. So it's actually a team game, and I think I'm rightly saying this because as a sport, cricket is a team game. But to conduct and to execute itself is an even bigger team game.
I was just going to ask you the numbers and facts and figures then. How many match referees are there? Because there's so many games, like you mentioned, and come the domestic season, everyone's is in that correct rigmarole. So how many match referees are there and umpires, so on and so forth? Can you give us some details?
I'll just give you a ballpark, to be very frank, about 170 to 100, 160, 170 you have umpires and about 80 odd match referees. Even if they had 100% availability of an official, it's never easy to be in the same place all the time. Say, for instance, if it's a Kuch Behar Trophy happening simultaneously with, say, women's cricket, or even for that fact under 23 or Ranji Trophy, so you need different set of officials doing the duties at the same time. So, I mean, it's all well-planned activity, and the numbers are basically to the requirement, to the right fit.
It's really mind-boggling, but thank you for shedding light in that. Let me just get into a slightly personal question. How much do you guys make as salaries? Let's be honest, because I think it was well documented by the BCCI as well 5 years ago, where they dished out the list of what umpires make in an IPL, and then they, of course, even showed what Javagal Srinath, who's part of the elite panel, makes. And I think vaguely about 50 lakhs in terms of what an IPL. Is that true, or is that increased over? Be honest.
No. I would not dwell on the numbers, but it's not true. I mean, for some it could be. Javagal obviously is a top-notch draw. He's the best we have. He's a phenomenal person on the field and now off the field. What a wonderful job he's doing for India at the ICC stage. So for money is concerned, I mean, frankly speaking, it varies from the number of matches you're doing and what sort of engagement that you are in, and those kind of things. But yes, IPL does draw a good amount, and if 50 lakhs is what is mentioned, it could be for some, could be because Javagal is at an international scene too. So I really don't know, but it could be. But it all depends on the scenario that you are in, on the number of matches that you're doing, and the level that you are operating at.
So, just talking about some of the things we saw in recent mind in terms of whether the game is starting to become too nice. You're a match referee. I just want to understand it from your lens. Harshit Rana, this IPL, great bowler, bowls the ball to Mayank Agarwal, gets him out, sends him off with a flying kiss, which is a good celebration in any sport. But then he was banned for that. Can you tell me why?
See, a kiss is always good to notice, probably not so good to feel. Now, if it comes in the right context, as you would know, then maybe it's a welcome thing. But when it comes in a competitive scenario where it is thrusted upon you in a manner where you are being a little cheeky, a little overboard, a little over the top, so you're sending a message. Any kind of gesture which intimidates the other side is not welcome. That's where you are crossing your boundaries. That's where you're coming into the COC parlance. And this is where the game says, what is this game played for? For the right spirit. Forget about us officials taking it, as per the book. But in terms of a conduct, it is a sorry state. And more so, when it's a live telecast, you are a role model for many in the world. Harshit is a great talent, but why waste the talent by doing something which is not really helping anybody? So it's one of those things. I think he must have learned his lessons from that also. He is a good prospect, and I wish him all the very best.
But is it equal for everyone in the cricket fraternity? Because I love Virat Kohli, sir, and many people watching this love Virat Kohli himself. All I'm trying to ask you here is, do those kind of players who carry so much clout have different rules? How much do you kind of step in there as a match referee?
First of all, let me clarify this, that those were the days when sledging was going unnoticed to some sense. So things have changed. There's so much of surveillance that has come into play that you can't escape. Everything is evidence. So you just can't escape. And there is no disparity, frankly speaking. So that's where this is the beauty of the game. And in today's parlance, you would see that the players are also very cautious. They know their boundaries. They know how far they can stretch. But in the anxiety moment, we all understand things happen. So long it is happening without any damage or without any issues, we take a softer stance in some sense. But yes, we have to follow the book. Some obvious moments which are not desired, they obviously, if it looks ugly or if it's there, stretched beyond the point, that's where things become a little tougher, and we have to execute each of these guidelines to the core.
We remember a game, I think 4 or 5 years ago now in the IPL, where it was Rajasthan taking on Chennai, and I think MS Dhoni was unhappy with the umpire Virat Gambhir, who was making the call, and he stepped onto the field. Now that was unprecedented in terms of never seeing a captain actually step on a cricketing field. If you were match referee, how would you handle that situation given the magnitude of what was happening out there in the middle?
See, firstly, as you rightly said, that you don't expect big players, star players, elite players to behave in a manner which will be against the tide, against the wave, against the rules. So it doesn't happen that way. But as I said, in anxiety, in certain moments, things happen. The first thing for the match official is to calm down the situation, to bring it to normal by explaining to people that this is not on. And this is where I see the toughest job is with the umpires, because they are on the field and they are dealing with the players. The first thing one would have done is to calm down, which I think my colleague then would have done it also. And thereafter, you obviously take that to the book. By the way, the game gives you so many forums to take up your problems. So, and it's not a one-way street that only the match referee or the match officials are the bosses and they'll do whatever they feel like. No, it is the other side. The game is meant for the players. It's made by the players. It's for the players. So match officials are only there to facilitate the entire proceedings and to make sure everything goes as planned and as smoothly as possible, so that the spirit is maintained, the conduct is good, and the people at large, which is the fan base, which is the backbone of the game, they really make the best of it.
Okay. Do you have any part to play in the IPL Fairplay Award? Do you have any ranking systems between you and the umpires?
Yes, fair play is definitely there in IPL, and it's been there for some time. And I think it's done with a purpose, because you want a certain kind of camaraderie to flow in, other than the certain boundaries that we set for each teams to kind of adhere to. So in fair play, you get marked for each of those boundaries that you, or the elements that you have come across in the game, whether it's about the respect for the game, respect for the official, respect for the opponents, and blah, blah, blah. Either all those things. And then comes the bonus points and stuff like that, which is where you have done something really exceptional. Opponent guy going up to the fellow player and helping him out in terms of injury or any other discomfort moment, stuff like that. The sledging is another extreme, but there are some good parts of the game also. So you certainly get recognized for the good work also, how you have conducted yourself on the field, how you've taken the game, how you adhere to the law. As I said, BCCI does a lot of in-depth what you call planning and and brainstorming before putting anything on board. There is a lot which goes into it in the first place as to how to build up to that. And then finally it comes to execution, and which is where players play a very, very important role.
Can you give me specific examples of players who've really impressed you as a match referee?
In IPL or in domestic?
In IPL in general?
In general, in domestic, there are a lot of people. I mean, frankly speaking, there would be a good, a sizable list. But I think two guys I would really appreciate having done their games is Ajinkya Rahane, who's been brilliant as a captain, as a person. So has Jaydev Unatkar for Saurashtra. So they've been brilliant, and there have been very many others also. But I think two of them I can say with a lot of pride that they really carried themselves and their teams very well. In IPL, I have come across quite a few players, bowlers going up to a batsman if unintentionally something has been thrown upon them as a bouncer or a little low height, beamer or a high full toss, as you put it. So, I mean, it is also to show the empathy. That's very important. So there are many players, I would say, who have been at this end. Hardik in one of the games I saw was brilliant. So, those are the kind of things which we will always appreciate as match officials, and we will give full credit to the players for what they are.
Okay, let me just ask you quickly then. Tell me one or two things which is so cool about your job that you can brag to your friends about it.
See, first and foremost is that you are dealing with the best in business. Whether I'm doing an under 16 domestic game, whether men and women, or I'm doing highest of domestic, match is a match because it's a cricket match that needs to be executed. The challenges will be different. We try and remain simple and honest to the job, and then thereafter it is up the other side who has to accept us the way we are, like we accept them the way they are. So it is as simple as that. But just to answer your question, yes, if we can manage the top players in the manner it needs to be managed, it needs to be kind of, man managed in some sense. I think that's the best thing. That's the best feel that you can have.
When the IPL starts, are you out of the house for 2.5 months or whatever and living out of a suitcase? Or do you have literally time to go back home, spend with family, and then come back? So how does it work for you all? And do you guys have dedicated hours to sleep at this time, wake up at this time, have a couple of drinks with the fellow match referees? Can you just tell us more details?
Not all of us we get assigned to all of the days of travel, because as I said, there is a professional team that works behind the scene to make sure that the groups are formed, and those groups, people work in the groups. So if I am in the group one, I may get a window of say 15 20 days in which I will end up conducting all the matches assigned to me, along with a set of officials who will also travel in the same group at all the venues. Even if they are not doing the match in that particular moment, they are part of the group. So they could be in the next match, but we travel as a group. So your time duration gets curtailed. You actually enjoy each other's company. You learn from each other. Somebody has had a brilliant match, and you have really picked some good traits out of that, and some good findings and learnings out of it. So these are very good practices, and this is where I think you got to give it to the IPL governing council team, the BCCI, everybody else who's involved, who are planning well in advance. I mean, IPL doesn't come out of 20, 30 days of planning. IPL comes, if this IPL is over, you're already planning for the next edition. I work for a corporate, and I'm very proud to work for Tata Steel, and they've really been my backbone ever since I've joined them for years or now. I mean, I'm completing almost 24 years with them. So there's a lot to learn when you are in this journey, that the corporate thing also comes into play, and these things help us.
Yeah, life is good right now. And I just wanted to ask you, because so many players chill after the game and unwind, so to speak. Do the umpires and the referees also kind of have a quiet get together, like go out for a good sushi meal or have a couple of whiskeys by the bar? Like, come on, give us some gossip.
Oh yeah, it is. In fact, it's one of the main thing. A sense of camaraderie has to come, whether it's a domestic fixture or it's IPL. IPL, it's even more because you're dealing with your foreign colleagues. So they're bringing a lot of culture, a lot of sensitivity, a lot of wisdom, and we have knowledge sharing opportunities also, where we sit with each other, we discuss each other's matches and some good matches that we have seen of the past to make a good reference. So because it's a constant thing, please appreciate the rules are changing every edition. So whether it's the impact player rule, or it's auto no ball, or it's anything that you can think of, these are all the little tidbits which gets added just to make sure that the game becomes equally interesting while being very, very competitive. So you have to be on top of your game. You got to be absolutely humble, simple, and controlled mind. That's very important, because IPL is all about pressure. It's probably the top player in the world who's coming and questioning you on something that you have challenged them. So you got to be prepared for that. You got to be absolutely hands-on. And I think where people make the difference, and Javagal with his experience, and Nitin Menon, who's been doing so well, and we have such lovely umpires and very good match referees also. Javagal taking the lead. We do discuss, in workshops, and come across a good strategy, good uniformity. That's important, because end of the day, we all have to sing the same song. Maybe it's a different way of singing the song, but the song cannot change. The lyrics cannot change. It's the same.
Yeah, it's a good way of looking at it. I have a couple more questions. I hope you don't find me for a slow over rate. But generally, I want to ask you a few questions about your job, sir. Conducting the toss, right? Especially during the Mumbai Indian games, they were actually now using the camera to hover over the coin to confirm head or tails. Why do you think that came about from a match referee lens?
See, again, this is how the game is evolving. Frankly speaking, it becomes difficult. So sometimes that gets into the play. But I think this time it got into the act, into the scene, because of the fact that you don't want to leave any ambiguity. If the coin goes back or goes to distance, and then nobody has a view other than the match referee, and then he sees the coin, sees the decision that has been, whatever the decision has been asked by the calling captain, and you come and declare it by lifting it. So there could be always an element of, no, I wish I could have seen it, blah, 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 blah. So those kind of things can come. But it's the integrity of the official which cannot be questioned. But what they did was also right. Okay, they wanted to keep things simple, because this is an age of social media. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the digital media which takes the center stage. So people, their fan base, which is very strong emotions. I mean, a Chennai fan will say, "Oh, wish the match referee shouldn't have lifted the coin, and our captain would have seen." And there's "Oh, hope there's nothing fishy." All sorts of things can come into, but there's nothing of that sort. There's nothing of that sort. This is how the game evolves. I mean, we also learn from every edition, and so as the conducting team, the broadcast, and everybody. So it's always accepted. Good things are always expected. It's fall for the game.
Okay. The second part of your job, which is a massive one, is of course you have to prepare reports after the game, whether it's the BCCI or the ICC, in terms of how the game went, code of conduct, and all of that. And vaguely, I know cricket fans know this, but I'll just repeat it for the people unaware. Now, there are four levels of the code of conduct, and the fourth is the worst, because level one is basically a fine of 0% to 50% of your match fee. Level two, it's 50%, 100% of your match fee, or maybe one ban of a test or two ODIs. Level three, it's a ban of 6 tests or 12 ODIs. And level four ban, well, God bless you, because you're banned for tests for life or 20 ODIs to life, which is quite crazy. So, having said that, sir, have you ever had a chance to offer any level one, level two, level three, level four conducts, dare I say? And how close were you coming in terms of levying it in a player?
First of all, personally, I will be the happiest man if I am just a visitor, spectator, watching the game, enjoying the game, putting the game to good conduct and everything, and coming back home. Nobody wants COC, frankly speaking, as officials and even as players. Nobody wants that. Uh, I've obviously been part of some of the COCs extended towards players, but we try and remain very, very considerate when it comes to players. Because on the other hand, we have to also respect the fact that they are making the game. Or if at all there has been a conduct which is unintentional, but it still looks a little ugly on the screen because of the broadcast or whatever, we have our own wisdom to use. While the law is very clear, the levels are all there. So let's put it this way. Yes, when it comes to level that you're talking about, one, two, three, four, it varies from format to format in terms of a domestic will have a different from the IPL to the ICC matches. Levels will remain there, say, but I think it's the point systems and all those things come into play in the different parlance that we're talking about. One would not want three and four to prevail when it comes to executing it. One and two is still manageable because that's where the hearing happens at the match referee level and it gets finished there and then, and it's okay. It's not a problem. But if it's really a serious one, it can definitely be a trouble,
Have
and
you
that
ever come
happens
through
with
the series one? Like even in the domestic scheme of things, level three, level four?
no. So far, so good. Nothing of that sort. But I have seen some moments where anxious moments where three and four were imposed, and it was not very easy for either side. It was not easy in terms of executing that, and it was not easy in terms of accepting it also. But having said that, you have to do it. It's for the game. If somebody is really, really been out of line, then you have to send that signal nice and clear. And this is where I think the game will be respected, you will be respected, and the player will also be respected in some sense for whatever they are worth.
Okay, what about pitches then? Have you ever found any dubious pitches in your time domestically or, of course, the list A games you've conducted? And how do you deem a really bad pitch? Because many people, even after the India World Cup defeat to Australia and Ahmedabad, sir, felt that, the pitch was, again, a slow, sluggish one. What are your thoughts on all of this? And how does a match referee judge a pitch?
See, where the pitch comes into play. It's when we talk about a bad pitch or match referee decision to abandon the game or even play on the different pitch in the same square. It's only for the safety of the player, nothing else. The other part of the spectrum is like you were mentioning about the Ahmedabad pitch and all. I don't see, there were no demons in the pitch. It's just that the pitch was not an ideal at that point of time. The expectations soared like hell. No, no, no. It is not, nothing of that sort. Frankly speaking, you can rate a wicket in a scale of 0 to 10 and say that, okay, it is at that level, probably not, above average or anything of that sort. You can do that, but that doesn't make the pitch as absolutely unplayable or absolutely atrocious in some sense. No, it's not. It's just that maybe at that point it was not the best of the lot, whether it could be because of the rolling or additional grass or X or Y or whatever it could be the reason. And it's umpire's call, to be very frank, to start with. We come into play much, much, much later when it comes to umpires giving a report in terms of how the wicket is behaving and how it is happening and whether it's unplayable and stuff like that. And our objective is maximum playing time. So we have to work hard towards the fact that the ground staff and the curators work long and the umpires monitor it and make sure that we are back on play ASAP. That's important, and that's where I give it to the umpires a great deal. Yes, match referee has a very important role to play to balance so many things and to coordinate, to manage, and to do all sorts of things. Reports, as you were mentioning, okay, it's been made a bit of a scare about reports. Actually, it's not, to be very frank. I have never believed in just saying, yeah, you're good or you're bad. Why are you good? You need to know. Why are you not so good? You also need to know. So I mean, there is no yes and no, frankly speaking, in my books when it comes to report filling and rating and stuff like that. It could be end of the day, it could be my judgment at the end of the day, good, bad, ugly, but that's the way it is. It's my judgment. And that's how it should be. And then you should also, we have moments to sit down with the official and have a chat, whether it's collective chat or it's one-on-one and all those things. So we have a very cordial relationship within the official, in domain that we all operate, and we exercise that to the fullest, and see what best can come out of it. Because what's the objective? End of the day, you take a learning from this match to the next match, and that's important.
You think about Duckworth-Lewis system and the rain, right? Is there a simple way of understanding it? Is there a formula that we can all just love and loathe at the same time, or is it more complicated than it actually looks?
I think if I have to put it simply, that it's the calculation that the system is making in terms of how much time left and what is the advantage X should have over Y. So you would have played in a situation when things were okay, and the incoming side is coming at the time when things are compromised. Now, it could be compromised to whatever level. The system would always calculate that if you were in a given realistic situation, this is where you would be. And I see all these elements for a very, very, very important cause. And that I think it served the game very well. So far, so good, I would say. I mean, it's really worked very well.
Just to be sure, every country has just one match referee as an elite panel, right? So how many are there right now in part of the ICC? 7, 8?
Yes, there are about seven. But then again, it works on that phenomena. But I think in some sense, some countries in the past have had more than one also. We have Javagal Srinath from India, and he's doing a wonderful job. And likewise, there are other countries. There's an Aussie man. There's obviously Englishman. There's a guy from Zimbabwe. You know it all. And I'm very proud, particularly, I'm very proud of the BCCI systems, because the match referees that we have governing the domestic cricket, I don't think so anywhere in the world, even England, where they have an extensive domestic circuit, but they also don't have that kind of list of officials who are doing the game at the highest level. So I'm very, very proud of my colleagues and very, very proud of what BCCI is doing for the domestic circuit.
There is, of course, a quick rapid fire of just 5, 6 questions that need to get done with you. So I want to start off by asking you, who's the most alpha male match referee?
I really don't judge people like that. I think because it is, again, as I said,
But who's
if I
the leader
say,
of the pack, the father of the match referees?
well, Ranjan Madhulay has been known to be a tough guy and a taskmaster, but he's a wonderful person, what I understand. I've not really met him, but whatever I gather from my colleagues, that he's a good person to kind of work with and, to have a chat with and deal with. But he's been a tough guy. And Javagal, to my mind, is doing a fantastic work. I keep taking his name because he is doing such a brilliant job. He's been very tough. I mean, in domestic also, he's been tough, and international, I know for the fact that he's been man of few words, but he means business, and that's what matters.
Okay, really quickly then, those questions. What do you eat during an IPL game?
As light as possible, as simple as possible, but I don't avoid the best things that I like. So maybe my quantity decreases, but the taste remains the same.
Okay, really quickly, one word to describe the following incidents: the Virat Kohli, Gautam Gambhir spat, LSG RCB. One word, according to you.
It could be two, best avoided.
Okay. What about this? If you had to choose a captain to deal with as a match referee, would you go for the cool, calm demeanor of MS Dhoni or the animated Virat Kohli?
I don't have a choice.
You have
But
to
if
deal with
I
whoever's
have
in
a
front.
choice, I would still deal with Virat, because if I feel Dhoni is cool, then I'm expecting him to be reasonable and whatever way which one would want. But Virat, I would like to experience because of the fact that he's a legend. He's cool as a dude, man. He's okay. He has his own way of taking things, and I'm sure with us officials also there would be moments with others. But having said that, I'm sure he will not be unreasonable when it comes to dealing with the situations on merit when it comes to officials. So it'll be interesting to deal with that.
Okay. And finally, which is the busiest time of your day as a match referee?
So generally, if it's a domestic, then I think it's the what you call session three, which is post tea, which can be a little tricky because the teams are tired, and then also leading to sum up of the day. So session three becomes interesting. In IPL, I can tell you there is no relaxed time. There is no one time. It's a rapid fire like what you're doing on with me. So it's just a fast one. By the time you realize one innings is over, so you are gearing up for the next one. So it's IPL. You just don't have any favorite time of the day or time of the match in some sense. But I've only answered from the cricketing parlance point of view. I hope that was your question. I mean, that's the way it is.
Amazing. Look, thank you so much, Mr. Rajiv Seth, for joining us in cricket.com Unwind. And we can go on and ask you about so many queries because you've, of course, been a great guardian of the game, like I said, and hope that continues. And I know you seem really modest, but we wish you all the best going forward with all the games you conduct.
Thank you very much, and wonderful talking to you and to your viewers and listeners. And I wish them all the very best. Keep keep the enthusiasm high, and give us the moments to learn more from you, because I feel in today's context, the spectators and the fans are far more educated on the game than anyone else. So wish you all the very best.
That's all we have time for on this cricket.com Unwind episode. Subscribe for more and join us in everything we do on our website and our app. Cheers. Cricket, cricket.